Hello everyone and welcome to Melbourne for a new event on the World Gymnastics calendar. It's the 2017 World Cup Gymnastics at Hisense Arena. It's the biggest gymnastics event in Melbourne since the 2005 World Championships, which was just next door at Rod Laver Arena. It's a new Apparatus World Cup format. There are 4 host countries: Cottbus in Germany, Baku in Azerbaijan, Doha in Qatar, and Melbourne, Australia for the next 4 years as we count down to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and for the Australians, the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games in 2018. Just finals on the program tonight. We've got 5 of them tonight, 5 of them tomorrow night, 3 for the men and 2 for the women. So an exciting night of gymnastics to look forward to. I'm joined by World Championship bronze medalist and Olympian Manette Russo and Commonwealth Games gold medalist Sam Offord. Manette, fantastic opportunity for a bunch of young Australians. We've got 12 Australians in the team here. We've got an Australian in every final to compete on home soil in the build-up to the Commonwealth Games next year.
Absolutely. It's a great chance for the girls to get out here, prove themselves to the rest of the world and show that, you know, we have the standard that everyone wants to see.
Some fantastic action over the past 2 days in the qualifying. No more so than this young man, the 20-year-old from Japan, Kenzo Shirai. Emily Little from Australia leading the Australian charge. Sam Offord, we saw some fantastic skills with the men. Young men's team, the holy grail of qualifying a team for the Olympic Games. Elusive so far for the men, but they've got 4 years to work on it.
Absolutely, they do. Thanks for having us here, Dave, in Melbourne. It's going to be great. It is a perfect time for the guys to leapfrog themselves into that qualification, hopefully for Tokyo. And a great thing is that we've got a World Cup competition here every 4 years leading up to that, and a great platform for the guys to start from here on in.
So we're looking forward to seeing the Australians in action, but also the internationals. We've got 2 Olympic champions in Christian Berkey, the Pommel horse champion from London, Sunay Weavers, the beam Olympic champion from Rio, and 2 members of the Japanese team that won the men's team competition in Rio as well. So a lot of talent in action. Straight out finals, having gone through the qualifiers, and here's what we've got to look forward to tonight. The men's floor and women's vault will start us off, then the men's pommel horse, men's rings and the women's uneven bars. So a lot to look forward to on this opening night of finals. And well, we talked about the Olympic champions. We've got a very special guest with us, the 3-time Olympic gold medalist from the USA, Alli Raisman. She's downstairs with James Sherry.
Celebrities don't get much bigger than this, although you're not much bigger than this, really, Alli. Welcome. And as ambassador to the World Cup here in Melbourne, great to have you along.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I got here Wednesday, gone to watch some of the competitions, really excited for tonight. I got to go to the zoo today too, so I've been really enjoying my time here.
Saw a couple of Australian natives out there?
Yeah, I did. It was awesome. I saw a kangaroo and a koala, and I got to go up close to them, so it was cool.
Nice, yeah. They're very different animals, aren't they?
Yes, I got to feed the kangaroos, and they were so sweet and so cute, and the little baby, the dad kept stealing food from the baby.
Yeah, dads are like that. Let's talk gymnastics, because a big event here tonight, a slightly different format than what we're used to, but who are you looking at? Who are you going to watch closely tonight?
I'm excited to watch Kenzo from Japan. He's, incredible on floor. He does quad twist, and he's maybe the only person in the world to do it, or one of the only people in the world to do it. To actually compete it and do it as precisely as he does, it's incredible, amazing, and I'm excited to see the Australian gymnasts too. I know they're trying to grow the sport in the country, so it's really, really exciting, and this is just the start for them.
Yeah, and we should thank you for coming out here and giving you your support, because to have someone of your stature to come out here and support our gymnastics is it's a real shot in the arm.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind. I love gymnastics, and I love Australia. I was here 7 years ago to compete, and the Australian gymnastics team has always been so warm and welcoming to me. So I'm more than happy to come out here, and it frankly feels like a vacation because it's so beautiful outside, and then get to watch gymnastics. So it's not hard at all for me to come out here.
Not hard work at all, and feels like a vacation because I think you've been doing a few of the tourist hotspots. Let's have a look at where Alli's been over the last couple of days.
I think it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of
dedication.
There's really no secret to being successful at any sport. It's just working hard and doing everything you can to be the best version of yourself. I'm here for the World Cup event. There's 4 nights of competition. I'll be at the competitions on Friday and Saturday, so I'm really looking forward to it. When I was younger, I started gymnastics at about 2 years old, and I loved it. I tried every single sport out there, and gymnastics was my favorite. My favorite event is floor, and my second favorite event is beam. The gymnastics competition is going to be really exciting. You know, it's the beginning of the next, we call it quad, where, you know, the 2016 Olympics just happened. And here you can kind of see the new, you know, girls coming out for the 2020 Olympics. So it's going to be really cool to see, you know, the next generation. Well, obviously, you know, the fact that the World Cup is here in Melbourne, I'm really excited to watch the gymnasts from Australia. You know, I know that they're all working very hard. I know that their goal is to qualify as a team. So I think that these World Cup events are really important and really good for them to get the confidence to compete and get the experience that as we get closer to the next Olympics, they feel confident and comfortable that they're going to qualify. I think the most exciting thing besides going to the competition, I really want to go to the zoo, and I'm also just excited to go to the beach and just kind of relax. And, you know, I'm here for about a week, so I'm really excited. There will be lots of time to do stuff.
Huge star in world gymnastics, Alli Raisman, three-time Olympic gold medalist, and did compete here in 2010 at the Pacific Rim Championships, where she was part of the winning USA team and finished second in the all-around. So fantastic to have her here, and her 2 million Instagram followers have been following her progress around Melbourne with Minette Russo as a tour guide. You've done a great job, and we're not too far away from having the team and the athletes march on for the opening events tonight. Always a slightly nervous time, Sam, for the athletes when they've warm-ups completed, the preparations are completed, and in a new year with a new World Cup format, there's a few challenges ahead for all of them.
Yeah, absolutely there is, but especially for the Australian athletes, nothing like being at home. And I think as an athlete, the one thing that you like is being able to control things. So the waiting times are often the worst. So hopefully they get out here in not too long and they can show us all what they can do.
So 9 countries here at this opening World Cup of 2017. New qualifying format for the Olympic Games with athletes able to qualify individually through this World Cup circuit, and we'll have a huge impact in 2019 and 20 in particular. But with the Australian athletes having the Commonwealth Games so quickly, it's, what did you say, 404 days away from the Gold Coast, that puts a marker in the sand pretty quickly for our Australian athletes.
Absolutely. They're going to have to prove themselves, and I think it's great for them to be able to do that and show that they're ready for this.
So athletes are on their way for the opening 2 finals, men's floor and women's vault. So what I do love at a gymnastics event, the PA gets a workout and everyone gets into it, the athletes who've got their mind on the job, Sam, but you can't help but get caught up in the atmosphere of the gymnastics podium. Stands be full tomorrow night, good crowd in tonight for this opening night. And for these athletes who have gone through the qualifying, they all have their individual aspirations for this particular apparatus final, and Kenzo Shirai in the men's floor in particular, who Alli Raisman mentioned with the quad twist, an amazing floor competitor.
Absolutely is. He'll be the one to beat. This man's floor has more twists than season 1 of Lost. So he's a phenomenal athlete. The guys were counting at 25.5 twists apparently in his qualifying routine, and he might even throw a few more in. So a great thing for the Australian athletes and the other fellow competitors to compete against Kenzo, who was the 2015 world champion on floor. So they're going to mix it and try and take it to him, and I can't wait to see what Luke Wadsworth, our Australian competitor, can do.
He's second on the right-hand side, Kenzo Shirai, as the athletes introduced here. Luke Dobney from New Zealand, Ahmet Odner of Turkey, Luke Wadsworth, Victoria. Chris Remke is the shortest man in the field, just 147 centimetres, the Australian. Tanagara of Japan, Atakan of Turkey, and there's Shirai, the 20-year-old, and what a record he's building up already at just 20 years of age. And Jile Mu of China. China have got a young men's team here, and they are building their Olympic team for 2020 as well. Women's vault, Naomi Lee from Australia, Caitlin Todd from New Zealand, Wang Yan, bronze medalist from Rio from China, just 17 years of age. There's Emily Little, the 22-year-old West Australian who competed in London, Tracy Young of Malaysia, and Elizabeth Chan of Hong Kong, who's just 17 years of age, the finalist in the women's vault, where Emily Little qualified in second place, so has got a good chance of being on the podium here. She won at the last World Cup in Cottbus in Germany last year, but we talked about Wang Yang of China, the 17-year-old who was a bronze medalist in their team from Rio. She qualified first and looked impressive in qualifying on Thursday night.
Yeah, there's some really great standards out here tonight, some world-class vaults, and so we're going to be blown away by some of them. I know Emily Little will be fighting for that title. She wants to keep herself in first place, so we're going to see something great from her tonight.
So the athletes warming up now. Women's vault, they have 2 vaults, and it's the average of the best score. On men's floor, it's just the one routine, obviously, and that will determine who takes home the World Cup points and also the gold, silver and bronze medals from this opening World Cup. So Caitlin Todd of New Zealand, 16 years of age, the New Zealand team building as well, and they've got a number of youngsters here looking to further their aspirations in the lead up to the Commonwealth Games. It's always good when athletes get on the podium here at Hisense Arena. It's been a regular venue since that World Cup. Pacific Rim titles we talked about before in 2010, featuring some of the best nations in the world. And here's Emily Little, who it's had some battles since London. Of course, the team didn't qualify for Rio, and they cut the gymnastics program at the Western Australian Institute of Sport, so she's had some ups and downs over the past 12 months.
Yeah, she has, and she's really proved herself coming through this and still keeping up her standards and showing she wants to still be in the sport and really make the Australian team. And I know 2020 is her focus to get there.
Missed the individual spot for Rio, went to Larissa Miller after the Australian team didn't qualify, and it was such a shock that the Australian girls didn't qualify. We got so used to seeing you. Manette, you were part of the team in 2004 and World Championship bronze medal winning team as well, and we sort of just expected that the Australians were not only going to have a team at the Olympic Games but be fighting for the medals, and then all of a sudden not to have them there at all was a huge shock.
Yeah, it was, and I think it's just really proved to the girls that they need to keep their standards up and really push to show that they're worthy of going to the Olympics, because we absolutely are, and we're a force to be reckoned with, and we know we've got it inside us. So this is a good opportunity for the girls to get that confidence back, show their skills and show everyone we're out there on the world stage.
There's Naomi Lee, the 20-year-old from the ACT, from the Woden Valley Gym Club, just warming up, and now the men on the floor. And Sam, it's an important time. They have been out for the best part of an hour doing their warm-ups earlier, but this is just a final touch to just do any fine-tuning that they need, make sure the body's ready for their routine.
Yeah, it is the guys and the girls when they get to floor. They're 3 minutes of warm-up that everybody shares out there, and it's just to go through and feel the floor once more and see exactly your timings and get all of that right. You normally don't want to do too much and wear yourself out, but it's that last moment for you to be able to warm up your last few things before you're out there in front of the judges and the crowd. What's
the protocol of warm-up? Everyone shares there, or is there a pecking order? So does Kenzo have the number one spot because he's the number one man, and the rest fight for position after that?
I think if you both walk into the corner together, you'd probably signal for him to go instead of you. But the beauty of gymnastics is everybody gets along really well. It's a really respectful environment. You kind of stand in the corner, and if there's nobody else there, you go. And it seems to all work out fine. I haven't seen many stacks in the middle of the floor between two gymnasts.
There's Kenzo Shirai, just 20 years of age. Amazing, really. He led the qualifying here with 15.100. And he is a twisting machine. Third in vault in Rio. Second on the World Championships on this apparatus. And well, in gymnastics, when you produce a new skill that hasn't been seen before, it gets named after you, and he's got 5 skills named after him, 3 on the floor and 2 on the vault. So that at 20, that's some good going.
And there's not many new skills to be created, surely. There's been a lot going on, but one of those skills that he does have named after him, Chris Remke, is one of the Australian athletes from Adelaide. He also competed that same skill at that event. So Chris is there, and he'll be showing Kenzo that he's here to stay, and he can take him on for the next few years also.
This is Chris Remke's on the top left of screen, a diminutive young Australian, 20 years of age, from South Australia, but training at the Centre of Excellence in Canberra. He was born in the Philippines, World Championship representative in 2014, and twice a national champion in this apparatus on floor, and likes to say that he's 1 centimetre taller than Simone Biles, the great American gymnast, and 147 centimetres in height. There's not much of him, but he's a powerful athlete, and he's He likes his apparatus in particular, and he's also strong on vault.
He is actually very powerful on both of those apparatus, and Chris is obviously developing his routines. He's got 4 years until Tokyo. Obviously, with the Commonwealth Games 404 days away, he'll be looking to feature in the medals there as well. But he does love this apparatus. Really, really powerful and good and well executed in the air as well. So we'll see how he can go tonight. Hopefully, he can push Kenzo for a medal or pick up one of the minor ones.
So final preparations. Get a sense here of Shirai and what he does, and that's just in the warm-up. He's such an excitement machine, and it's interesting the different techniques that the athletes do on their warm-up. And you can see Ferhat Harakan, the tall Turkish athlete in the blue shorts, just a little more relaxed. Interesting, the Chinese team and the youngsters that they've brought along here. And Japan as well, here's Wataru Tanagawa, the 20-year-old. So they've got a mix of their 2 members from the team that won the gold medal in Rio, and a couple of youngsters on the way up. So although when you talk about Shirai, he's just 20 himself, so he is a youngster, but he's competing with the big fish.
Absolutely an experienced youngster, but this is the time now at the start of an Olympic cycle where you will give some new people a go and give them some experience. You don't want their first berth in an international competition to be something as big as an Olympic Games, and for a team like Japan, you probably don't want that to be a home game. So get some experience and starting here in Melbourne.
So we're ready to go with the first competitor in the first final. It's the men's floor, and it's the New Zealander, the 27-year-old Luke Dobney, who'll kick things off.
Can be a little bit of added pressure to start off a competition and start off a final, but Luke will be hoping to put together a strong, solid routine and put a good score on the board to put the pressure on the rest of the 7 athletes to come. So whip to the Arabian double front, unfortunately just sitting that one down, so nerves getting the better of Luke. You see the men having to do non-acrobatic skills, acrobatic elements forwards and acrobatic elements backwards as part of the requirements under the Code of Points, which is the Bible that gymnastics athletes are bound by. Second tumbling row now, the 2.5 twist punch front half, done well. Keeping that one just inside the 12 by 12 area. Wobbly on that landing. Going into another non-acrobatic element here, press to handstand. Need to show that one for 2 seconds so that the judges don't take any deductions, which he's done well. Into his final tumbling row. Back lay double twist, not quite stuck. So a little wave to the crowd, fairly happy with that, but unfortunately that sit down in the first tumbling row will probably keep him out of the medals.
So he qualified in 6th spot, Luke Dobney, and he'll be hoping to finish in and around that place. His opening routine will bring you the scores as we go, but with the women's vault up, we'll head across to Naomi Lee, the 20-year-old from the ACT. First vault for her.
First vault looking good. She did her Yuchenko full twist nice and clean. She'll be happy with that one and give her confidence going into her second vault.
So she qualified in 3rd spot in qualifying with the average score of 13.183. So we take the average of the 2 vaults. They march back and they do a different vault on the second one. But it was a confident start for Naomi.
It is, and here's her replay now. You can see her get some nice height off the vault there, landing perfectly on the line, the middle line, which all the judges want to see. From that angle, her full twist. Good execution in the air. She'll be happy with that.
So Naomi Lee, second vault about to come. So 7 athletes in this final, 8 in most instances, but just the 7 in the women's vault final. Wang Yan of China, the 17-year-old, the #1 qualifier, with Emily Little of Australia in second, and Lee now on her way. Second attempt.
Sukahara layout. Small jump at the end there, but 2 very clean vaults from Naomi, so it's great for her to start the competition like this.
Always relief. Good smile. I'm sure the Woden Valley Gym Club in Canberra watching with great interest. It's a big moment for the 20-year-old to be competing on the world stage at a World Cup on home soil, Australian uniform on. So we'll head back to floor. Ahmet Odna of Turkey.
Beautiful start with a double twisting, double tucked somersault. Some powerful tumbling to start. Good forward series there. Strong guy. And showing some clear landings. We saw him in the qualifying absolutely nail a vault, so he's got sticky feet. Arabian double tuck.
He's also got a busy program. He's qualified for all 6 finals here. So he's doing all the apparatus, and World Championship representative in 2014. Won a World Challenge event, FIG level, on this apparatus.
And just going through some of the Russian Wender swings, those circles on the floor, and then the Japanese press to handstand. So they're both executed very well. Double twist there, and you'll hear that bell in the background. The male gymnasts have 70 seconds to complete their floor routine, and the bell will go at 60 to give them a 10-second warning. And Onda's pulled that full twisting double tuck around, and that'll put him clearly in the lead for now. Well executed routine, couple of hops on landings, but apart from that, very well executed routine.
So 11.500 was Luke Dobney of New Zealand's score, so that was a strong routine from Ahmed Odna. Back to Caitlin Todd of New Zealand, the 16-year-old, first attempt on the vault.
Doing her handspring front pike, landing a little off centre there, but overall a good vault. The gymnasts have to do 2 different vaults from 2 different families, so you'll see different flights off the vault.
Qualified in 4th spot with 13.033, so anything in the 13s would be a good result for Caitlin Todd, just 16 years of age. It was a good start from Naomi Lee, 13.383 for the Australian, the average of her 2 vaults, which was better than her qualifying score, so she'd be pretty happy with that, Manette. It's a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. A great way to start the competition.
So second vault for Todd.
Starting within that 25 metres that the gymnasts have to complete their vault. And just doing her Suk layout. Nice clean vaults there from Naomi. She executed them well. I think she'll be happy with those.
Just explain the scoring to us, Manette. There's a combination of the difficulty and the score. For those watching gymnastics haven't seen it for a while, the old days of the perfect 10 have gone long ago. So we have, scores that range from, the 10s up to the 15s and 16s for a good score.
Absolutely. So they have the difficulty, which a panel of judges will be judging, and the execution score. So the execution starts at a 10. Anything that they get deducted for will come off that 10, and then the difficulty can go anywhere from a 5 to a 6.
So I'll bring you the score of Caitlin Todd. Let's go back to the floor, and the Australian, the 26-year-old from Melbourne, Luke Wadsworth.
Starting with the front 2.5 twist there. I reckon maybe just 2 1/4. Hopefully the judges are nice to him on that one. Luke training at the High Performance Centre here in Melbourne, so not far to travel for him to compete tonight. Solid performance in the lead up in the qualifying, and hopefully he can nail the landings tonight. Looking clean so far. Nice Japanese press. That press has to be done so that their head can just get through at the end, so that the judges don't take any deduction. She's managed to do well. Always a strong performer on this apparatus, Luke. Have a couple of big tumbles to go. Not sure if that was meant to be an Arabian double front, just did the single front there. Perfectly stuck double twist. So a clean routine from Luke. He's got a big tumbling row to finish. Hopefully he can pull this one around onto his feet. Full twisting double tuck. And nailed it.
That's a good routine for Luke Wadsworth in front of the home crowd. Current national champion on the Pommel, the rings and the parallel bars, and the Australian all-around champion, and demonstrated why he's been to the Commonwealth Games and the World Championships there with that routine. Odner's score from Turkey 14.000, so that's the leading score so far, but Luke will be happy with that routine.
Yeah, it deserved a slightly larger fist bump than that, so he's gone conservative, but excellent job from Luke. Hopefully that score gets him into the medals.
Wang Yan of China, the 17-year-old bronze medalist from Rio.
She has a very difficult vault doing her double twisting Sukahara.
She's a quality athlete. 6th in the all-around in Rio, 6th on vault, 5th on floor. Member of the bronze medal winning Chinese team. So that's, you look at those statistics, 6th in the all-around and finals in 2 apparatus individually. Some talent.
Absolutely. She's a tiny gymnast, but she's full of talent. She's got all the difficulty, and she, as you can see here, getting the height off the vault, pulling that around, landing slightly with her shoulders down, but a very difficult vault indeed, and executed it beautifully.
It's interesting that the Chinese team have brought some of their Olympic medalists here. They've got such a production line, and Australia's always been a favourite location for them. Whenever there's been an international event here, the Chinese have always very well supported it. Obviously close, and they know that they get good training facilities, and Wang Yan demonstrating why they like it so much.
You're right, there is a great rivalry between the Australian and Chinese, and it's always great to have them along here. Second vault is handspring layout, 1.5 twist. And giving the crowd a wave. She's happy with that.
So Naomi Lee of Australia currently leads here with 13.383. Todd's score was 13.049, so just behind. And well, the degree of difficulty here from Wang will probably have her in front as we head back to the floor. Chris Remke's the 20-year-old from South Australia about to go.
Absolute pocket rocket. He does have a chance to push Kenzo Shirai, hopefully, if he nails this routine, but he's going to have to nail it. Let's see what he's got. And a fair bit of power from the looks at the start. Front layer 2.5. Landed beautifully. Double twisting, double layer. Not an easy skill. Not many people in the world doing that one, so impressive. Front layer punch straight into the double pipe. A little bit of a low landing, but no step. Just for a bit of fun, a double twisting double tuck as a side pass, so an impressive thing for those familiar with gymnastics. Seems to be flicking his hair out of the way. Maybe a haircut would have been in order, but I might talk to him after the event about that one. Arabian double tuck with probably a 0.3 deduction on that step there, but still a clean routine relatively so far. Pushing to the limits of the floor. One tumbling row to go. Come on, Chris, get this one onto your feet. Triple twist at the end. So no major falls or big deductions in that one from Chris. Just giving the crowd a bit of a wave.
So good routine from the 2 Australians, and Luke Wadsworth 13.666, so just behind Ahmed Odner's 14.000. The best we've seen, 14 even for Odner of Turkey, and Remkes, who I think, like Wadsworth, will be happy with his performance here. So there's the scores before we have the Remkes. So Odner, Wadsworth, Dobney, the top three so far, with Shirai, the leading qualifier, still to come in this men's floor.
Chris Remkes hopefully will have a slightly higher difficulty score than Onda, so I'll be crossing fingers, toes and everything else that I've got that Chris can get himself above that 14.00 there.
Not sure if he's going to be happy with you for the line about the haircut, but he'll sure take that up with you afterwards. Wang Yang 14.30 for her, and she's in the lead. This is Tan Ing Wei of Malaysia, 20 years of age, been to the World Championships, the Commonwealth Games and the World University Games for Malaysia.
So starting off with her handspring pike front with a half twist. A nice executed vault to start her off. Here we see the replay. The judges want to see lots of height off that vault, which she did, landing a little low with the shoulders down, so she will incur a deduction there.
Important to keep the progression, isn't it, off the board and onto the horse. They still call it a horse, not sure why. Doesn't look like a horse anymore.
It doesn't.
Never really did either, anyway. But
no, I think back in the day when it literally was almost like a horse, but called the Pegasus now, that model.
It'll take a bit of getting used to, I reckon. I'll keep calling it a horse if it's okay. That score of 14.300 for Wang Yan is going to be tough.
Getting ready, waiting for the judges, always a nerve-wracking time. This is going through her vault. Just focusing on the task at hand.
Are you listening to that music? I would find it, the athletes are so in the zone, but can you hear a bit of Pump Up the Jam in the background, or are you that focused, Manette, that you're concentrating on what you need to do?
You're normally just inside your own little bubble, trying to think and focus about what you're about to do. Sometimes it's good to hear the music, get yourself a little bit pumped up.
I think you'd be dancing to it, Sam.
I most definitely would be, but people are there to watch the gymnastics, not me dance.
Second vault for Tan Ing Wei of Malaysia.
Nicely done, doing her full twisting suit. She landed 2 vaults on her feet, and that's always what you want.
So she qualified in 6th spot. We'll wait for her score, but Wang Yan of China leading the way. The score for Chris Remkes was 13.533. So it's currently in 3rd spot. Here's Wataru Tanagawa, the 20-year-old from Japan.
As we saw in warm-up, just undercooking that first tumbling roll a little bit, but stayed on his feet. Arabian double pike now into his non-acrobatic elements. A Russian sit held well there, and then into the Japanese press. Don't know if that's compulsory coming from Japan, whether you have to do that or not. Tanagawa was 2nd in the Anadia World Cup in this event in 2016, late last year. So he's got some form. Just pulling that one around again. Making it hard work for it on his ankles there. Beautifully executed front double twist into the punch front 1.5. And again, another connection series with the 2.5 twists backwards to front layout full. So taking a leaf out of Shirai's book with all the twisting there in his final tumbling row. And triple twist with the hop on landing. So similar to Chris Remkes there, a good routine with a few hops on landing, and interesting to see where that places him.
So he's the 5th of the 8 finalists to go, and the leader is Ahmed Erdna of Turkey with that 14.000. Here's Emily Little, the 22-year-old from Western Australia, won the World Cup in Cottbus 2 times national champion on this apparatus. First vault for the Australian.
And she executes her Yurchenko double twist. She gets so much height off that vault, and that's what the judges love to see. You can just see all that power. Makes the vault look very beautiful. Here in the slow-mo. Legs nice and tightly together in the air, landing slightly off centre there.
So qualified in second here on Thursday night, and the score to beat at the moment 14.300 from Wang Yan of China. So that's going to be a fair task for Emily Little.
She started off well, and if she can pull her second vault around, she'll definitely be in contention.
Winning the competition for best leotard, though, I think, Minette, so far.
Aussies always have their leotards on point. Nicely done by Emily there. Only a small hop on the landing, so she'll definitely be happy with that. See in the slow-mo. Nicely done. Happy with herself, and so she should be. 2 very difficult vaults there, and she has executed them with style.
She'll be in 2 finals tomorrow night as well, Emily Little. So as we wait for her score, there's the standings in the women's vault with Wang Yan of China ahead of Naomi Lee and Tan Ing Yue of Malaysia, the top 3, and then Caitlin Todd of New Zealand. So Little, would imagine, will challenging Wang of China, and potentially ahead of her teammate Naomi Lee, but we'll wait for the scores there. Men's floor leader currently is Ahmed Odna of Turkey. Big first score for Emily Little. You can see it on the screen. That was the second one, 14.199. The first one, 14.566. So Little going to challenge. It's going to be tight for that first spot. We'll wait for the official scores. My mathematics not that quick. Here's Ferhat Atakan of Turkey. 23-year-old sports management student. 41st in the all-around in Rio.
And starting well here, 2 clean tumbles. Guys like to build some of their difficulty score by doing elements connected directly together. You'll see the gymnasts do lots of different skills, but 10 of their best will be counted for the difficulty score. And they hopefully execute them well and make sure the judges don't take too many deductions off that 10 start of the execution score. Beautiful flares up into handstand. Always a crowd pleaser, this one. Beautifully done. Not terribly high in value, but it seems to always please the crowd. Good party trick, I'm sure, on Saturday nights for him too. So that 60-second bell. Khan with his last tumbling rope. Randolph. Triple twist to finish, so small hops in all of his landings, similar to the rest of the field, but that might push him towards one of the minor medals there, I think, with that performance.
I like his teammate Ahmed Odna. He's going to be a busy man over the next 2 nights with a few finals for him. I can tell you that Wataru Tanagawa has moved into the lead in the men's floor with 14.033, just ahead of Odna. So we head back to women's vault. Tracy Ang of Malaysia.
Doing her first vault there with the handspring at tuck half. So a nice vault to start her off.
Emily Little scores in Manette, and it's 14.199. So in second place behind Wang Yan of China and Naomi Lee of Australia from the ACT, currently in third spot with 13.383. Two competitors to come, and one vault to go, and then Elizabeth Chan of Hong Kong. And based on their qualifying scores, you can see the standings here. The two Australians, great chance to hang in there for a podium spot in this first final. So Ang, along with her Malaysian teammate Tan Ning Yue, who we saw earlier, World Championships, Commonwealth Games and World University Games representative. At World University Games in Chinese Taipei in August this year. It's a great multi-sport competition for a lot of the developing young athletes. Bigger than the Commonwealth Games in terms of the number of athletes that go, and in many events the standard higher as well, with the globe competing. Here's Ang now, second vault.
Her second vault, nicely done, doing her suit layout full twist. So two nice vaults there. Not sure if they're going to be enough to get her into the medals, but showing the standard here in the vault finals.
So we head to the floor, and the member of the Japanese team that won the Olympic gold medal, Kenzo Shirai.
Now this will be a thing to watch. I think Shirai is actually Japanese for tornado. Although I think I also just made that up.
It makes sense. He's a twisting machine. Mr. Twist.
So most people that spin 25.5 times in 70 seconds probably fall over, but this guy does beautiful gymnastics. And just watching how he came out of that backward element, I reckon he may have been wanting to twist a little more in that forward pass, but didn't quite get it around. So the bell to signal the end here for Shirai. So the quadruple twist, so one layout and 4 twists at the end of a routine is ridiculously difficult. And I think he's just snuck that one around. Watching his feet land at the end there, I think they were perhaps 3/4 of the way around, and the judges will have to determine whether they want to pay that one or not. But looks like he's put everything into that. It's a brilliant floor routine. The tuck full twist. Straight into that forward twisting skill.
He's always smiling too, Shirai. He's loved his time here so far, and no matter whether the routine meets his own expectations or not, he's always smiling. So we wait for the score there. Tanagawa and Hadakan, same score, 14.033, and they've dispatched Odna, who's only 0.033 behind, back into third place at the moment. You would imagine that Shirai will elevate himself past both of them. 15.1 he scored in the qualifying, so we'll wait for his score. Back to the vault. The final competitor is Elizabeth Chan of Hong Kong, the 17-year-old. Currently it's Wang Yan of China who leads ahead of Emily Little and Naomi Lee, the young Australian. The top three with just Chan to go. Qualified in 5th, 12.583, so can possibly get herself up into the medal position here if she produces 2 good vaults.
Starting off with her handspring pike front, going very long there and having a little bit too much rotation on the end, taking her into a big step forward. Here we can see in the replay that she just wanted to keep going forward. Tried to sneak the second step around and present to the judges there, but she will incur a deduction.
See you think that Wang Yan, the Olympic bronze medalist, finalist in Rio in this event with 14.30, is safe in that gold medal position based on the degree of difficulty that Chan has in her routine.
Yeah, it's looking like she will take that one out.
What about the Australians with Emily Little in second, 14.199. It's a strong score from Emily, and Naomi Lee 13.383. That might be a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, I think Emily should be safe there with that second place, and seeing what Elizabeth Chan can do with her second vault.
Lang went close, 13.200, so she is currently in fourth spot, the Malaysian. So final vaulter in this women's vault final.
And sticking that landing very well done there, her soup layout. That's the landing that we always want to see, no steps. So a nice laid out position over the vault, and nailing that one there for Elizabeth Chan. So a nice second vault from her. I don't think it will push her up into the medals, but a very nice performance from her.
Well, that would mean that Wan Yang of China, Emily Little of Australia, and Naomi Lee of Australia are the top three in the women's vault. But we will wait for the final scores for Elizabeth Chan. Uneven bars final for women also on tonight. Tan In Yue of Malaysia, Tracy Ang, two competitors who will return. Emily Little, two finals tomorrow night, but we won't see her again tonight. The final competitor in the men's floor is Zhile Mu of China, the 20-year-old. He was 9th on the floor at the World Cup in Hungary last year. Got a score for Shirai yet? Don't think it's come up just yet.
Might be deciding whether they're paying that last quad twist, I think, Dave.
So here's the final standings in the women's vault. So Wang Yan of China takes the gold medal. The opening gold medal of the Gymnastics World Cup circuit of 2017 goes to China. Emily Little of Australia gets the silver medal, and Naomi Lee of Australia from the ACT gets the bronze with her 13.383.
Will now represent the People's Republic of China,
So from one Chinese winner to Zhile Mu, who is attempting to get himself on the podium here. It qualified in second, so the 14.366 that he scored on Thursday night, if he does that, he'll be up onto the podium.
Near perfect execution of that first tumbling row there, so if anybody can take it to Kenzo, it'll be him. Still yet to see Kenzo score, but might not matter if Mu can put together a clean routine here. Great start with two Australian medals, by the way, in the vault by the girls. Brilliant effort. Just building his difficulty there. Slightly easier tumbling line. Just a couple of garden variety cartwheels just to get himself to the opposite corner. And press to handstand as the non-acrobatic element. So a clean routine here. Not sure if he'll have the difficulty to take on Shirai's score. But the final tumbling row now, the triple twist. And he's absolutely stuck that. Super glove on the feet. So he's pretty happy. And the judges will have some work to do to try and split these guys up.
So 14.700 was Shirai's score.
Not as good as his qualifying score, and won't be happy about that. And he's left the door open a little bit for the Chinese guy here.
He has got the biggest score, Shirai, though, by nearly 14.7, so he's got a handy buffer. Tanagawa and Arakan on 14.033. Luke Wadsworth, the Australian, 13.666, is in 5th spot at the moment, and Remke's is in 6th, and that's before we've got the score of Mu China. So I imagine he's going to be challenging for the medals here.
Yeah, I think just hearing that Kenzo's score of 14.7, I think you might be just behind him there. I think with Kenzo's buffer, as you said, with that very high start score, as you can see on screen there, 7.2 is about as world class as it gets, but his execution score there of 7.5, starting at 10, and the execution coming off of that wouldn't have been what he was looking for, but I think he may have just done enough to stay in the lead for their very first event for the men.
Well, Japan love their gymnastics, their men's gymnastics in particular, and hosting the Tokyo Games, this young man at 20, having already got a gold medal from Rio, he must be near the top of the pops when it comes to big names going into a home Olympic Games.
Absolutely. There's probably only one person ahead of him, and that would be the great Kohei Uchimura of Japan, who many, including myself, would debate as one of the best athletes going around.
And he's going to keep going to Tokyo?
I would say so, yeah. I think he's committed to leading the team through there.
So here's the final standings, and Mu just slots in behind Shirai. So the 20-year-old from Japan opens his World Cup account in 2017 with gold medal in men's floor, 14.700. Mu of China gets silver, and Tanagawa gets the bronze medal ahead of Arakan and Onda, the two Turkish athletes, Wadsworth and Remkes, the two Australians in 6th and 7th, and Dobney in 8th spot for New Zealand. And Shirai is, well, they must be in a complete fizz, the Japanese, about having the defending champions in the men's gymnastics going into a home games. It's, for them, it's almost as good as having someone in the 100-metre final, I reckon. For us, the 1,500 metres or someone in the pool, but for Japan, it's gymnastics is where it's at.
Yeah, it's almost be a national sport for them. They've had so much success over so many years, and the men have been such a strong team. They really were chasing down China in the team event over a number of years and managed to get over them in Rio and win the gold. So they'll be looking to hold that title for the next 4 years and really reclaim their stake on that in Tokyo in 2020. So I'll be looking forward to watching that as it unfolds.
So there's that confirmation of the women's vault result. And Manette, Emily, would she be okay with that? 14.199 for second?
Yeah, I think she'll be happy with that. Yan Wang has some really difficult vaults, and for Emily to have executed her vaults the way she did, there's always room for improvement, but to start off her World Cup series this year like that, I think she'll be very, very happy.
So let's take a recap of the medal-winning performances on the apparatus we've seen so far, and Naomi Lee, just 20 years of age from the ACT, Manette, would be very pleased with her work here tonight.
It's a great start for the youngster, getting the opportunity to represent Australia and let alone win a medal just is the cherry on top there.
Well, the first vault was good, and the second one was just as good, and to be first up in the competition where there's a little bit of standing around beforehand, it was a measured performance. Emily Little qualified with 14.133, so this 14.199 was close to that. Her first vault was 14.5, so it was the best of the two. A little more degree of difficulty in the first one than the second one, which was the same as her qualifying performance. But she also got off to a pretty strong start.
Absolutely, and she's definitely got more in the tank there. I know she's working on a 2.5 twist off the vault in that Yuchenko, so that is definitely going to put her up there to win some more medals in the coming World Cups.
Can't be far away, Manette. There was she had a fair bit of height in that double twisting Yuchenko, so hopefully she can put that in relatively soon.
Yeah, I think it's one she's working on.
So we'll have the medal presentations for both of these events, and then we head into men's pommel, punishing event at the best of times, and then men's rings and women's uneven bars. Lots of young fans from gymnastic clubs all around Melbourne and Victoria and Australia have come in to watch this World Cup gymnastics event. And I remember the days you were there as well, Sam. 2005 World Championships, 2006 Commonwealth Games, watching Manette Russo win the bronze medal, breaking ground for Australia at a World Championship.
Absolutely, yeah.
Packed house at Rod Laver Arena, 15,000 fans.
Yeah, it was a fantastic thing, and so it's just a great thing to have elite level gymnastics back in Australia and in Melbourne, so can't wait for it to happen over the next 4 years.
So this is the bronze medalist. Farhat Adakhan has been given the bronze medal on a countback ahead of Wataru Tanagawa of Japan. Both of them scored 14.033. Tall athlete is Adakhan, and he's got some flamboyance. Doesn't mind putting on a show.
And he put one on the floor today. Normally in the countback scenario, the execution scores, there will be 4 or 5 judges and they'll take out the highest and lowest and average the rest. And in terms of a countback, normally they'll put those highest and lowest scores back in and see if that changes the result. So the young Turkish gymnast obviously coming out on top after that countback, which is great for him, and so it pays to have your execution score just a little tidier than your competitors.
He's also competing in parallel bars, the high bar and the vault here. Just 23, but he's competed at 5 World Championships for Turkey, and he was their sole representative in Rio. His move of China, his routine. He was chasing down that score of Shirai. You mentioned that the Japanese competitor left the door open slightly with his 14.700, and Mu Gillet gave it his best shot.
Absolutely, the execution was definitely there, just not quite the difficulty that Shirai has, and when you've got that much of a buffer, it's very hard to chase down, and you can only do what you do well, and Ju have performed a very, very cleanly executed routine tonight and deserves that silver medal. Expect nothing less than high quality execution from the Chinese gymnasts. They're obviously a powerhouse in both the men and the women. We've obviously sent a couple of young athletes to this World Cup to give them some experience, but they still have the same polish that we're used to.
What about the 2 Australians here, Luke Wadsworth and Chris Remkes, in 6th and 7th spot? How did you assess their performances?
I think they were both happy with their routines at the end, and credit goes to the boys for just putting in 2 solid routines. They both stayed on their feet the whole time. Consistency is one of the things that probably both of them would admit that is the thing that they've both been looking for. So to put in routines without major errors at this World Cup in the final when the pressure is high, I think they'll both be happy with things to work on always.
And here's Shirai, who's that twisting machine, and if you're just watching gymnastics for the first time, that floor is sprung, so you do get a little bit of extra bounce, but you've got to create your own momentum and energy every time you hit the floor, and what he can produce when he lifts off is incredible.
Absolutely. You saw those first 2 tumbling rows. There was a double out with triple twist at the start, and then the same skill in the tuck position as his second tumbling line. So that's 6 twists within 2 elements. It's absolutely incredible. And to be able to then complete the rest of a routine after that is impressive. I think just there in that landing out of that back 2.5 or 3.5, I can't keep up with how many twists the guy does. He just didn't quite get the takeoff into the forward skill afterwards, so probably hasn't helped.
Well, when you look at the degree of difficulties on the qualifying routines, Remke at 6.1 degree of difficulty is the only athlete with a routine in the 6s, and Shirai just bypasses that and goes straight to 7.1 the degree of difficulty for his routine. It's sort of indicative of where he's at the moment. And I would imagine, Sam, that he's going to add some difficulty to those routines between now and the games. He's got 4 years, he's just 20 years of age, so there's plenty of upside. If you're buying stocks ahead of gymnastics in Tokyo, you going to get on Kenzo Shirai.
Shirai incorporated, absolutely. Yeah, he'll be trying to add some plenty of difficulty into that routine. I'm not sure how much more he really can add. He'll just look to, I think, probably get that routine as perfect as he can, as often as he can, bearing in mind that this is very early in a calendar year as well as an Olympic cycle. So he'll look to perfect that routine, and if he can add some harder skills and keep his execution high, then he'll do that.
So not too far away from the medal ceremonies for both the men's floor and women's vault. New Olympic year means a new scoring code of points, they call it in gymnastics. It's the most important thing. And they tweak the way the scores are judged and the degree of difficulty. And I will just point out, if you're watching this over the next 2 nights, that Ferhat Atakan is worthwhile keeping an eye on, because that hair is very important to him. And we saw him yesterday. He actually had his teammate helping him. I'm very envious. I have none. So that's why I'm a bit besotted by the hair of Ferhat Atakan. But he's just getting it ready for the presentation.
Absolutely. I mean, hair seems to have featured quite a bit in this opening rotation, with me pulling Chris Remke's
you weren't happy with Remke's hair. You thought it was getting in the way.
Well, I mean, I think the fact that he was trying to shake it out of his eyes tells me it's a little bit long, and I can go and have a chat to him afterwards. He might not be happy with me, but I can take some scissors down and give him a hand.
Manette foolishly told us that she spent 3.5 hours straightening her hair today before coming along, which we found difficult to believe, but apparently it's correct. Is that right?
Absolutely. Got to look good for you boys here.
Well, that's true. There's just behind the curtain on the warm-up area, preparation area, Naomi Lee dancing away as they get ready for this medal ceremony. Big build-up to it.
Yeah, she looks like...
Well, Arakan's getting ready for his Pommel routine already. He's moved on to the next phase and mentally rehearsing what he has to do for that final.
Absolutely. You don't get much of a break, and when he does have such a full program, he'll be rushed out here to get his medal, then he'll be rushed straight back to get his long pants on and get himself prepared for the Pommel horse. A very mentally draining apparatus, the Pommel horse, so he'll be looking to get all of his concentration on that as soon as his presentation's over.
Yeah, and he's got one of the princes of the Pommel, Christian Berkey, the Hungarian Olympic champion from London, one of the best. We'll talk about him shortly, but presentation time. The men are on their way. And I reckon Shirai's going to get used to this procedure over the next 4 years.
The leading qualifier coming into the floor event, and there was no twist in the tail as much as there was in his routine. He's come up the goods and won the first apparatus here for the men.
Now the presentation for men's floor. In third place, and the winner of the bronze medal with a score of 14.033, representing Turkey, Apparatus.
So the 23-year-old from Turkey, Ferhat Atakan, takes the bronze.
In second place, and winner of the silver medal with a score of 14.466, representing the People's Republic of China, Wu Jili.
China, 20 years of age, gets the silver, 14.440.
The first place,
466, I should say, 14.466 for
representing Japan, Kenzo Shirai.
And the gold medalist, the twisting machine from Japan. Not 100% certain what he'll think of the Vegemite, Kenzo Shirai, but he smiles most of the time, so I don't think he'll enjoy it, I reckon. And Alli Raisman, who we saw before, the 6-time Olympic medalist, the 3-time Olympic champion, doing the medal presentations.
I think Ali's just explaining to him exactly what Vegemite is.
Nice little touch with the first, second and third on the jars. A little plaque and a medal. I've got the lot. No flowers. Just the Vegemite.
It'd be great if we could see him take his first bite of Vegemite, wouldn't it? He might twist up his face. Be consistent with him, wouldn't it?
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Japan.
So there are our medalists. Men's floor. Shire will be back tomorrow. He's not competing in either of the Pommel or the rings. He'll be back in the vault tomorrow night. Atakan we'll see again shortly. Ceremony now.
See our Aussie girls there. It's such a special moment winning a medal, but also winning it in front of your home crowd just makes it that little bit more meaningful. So the girls will be very, very happy to be up there on the podium this evening.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, to make the presentation, we're pleased to have with us Alli Raisman, the gold medalist and World Cup ambassador. Analyst Garova, the MIG technical delegate, and Pauline Smith, neutral judge from Great Britain. Please make them welcome. In third place, and the winner of the bronze medal with a score of 13.383, representing Australia, Naomi Lee. Second place and winner of the silver medal with a score of 14.199, representing Australia, Alli Raisman. In first place and winner of the gold medal with a score of 14.25, representing the People's Republic of China, Wang Yang.
There's also great camaraderie between the girls and all the gymnasts out there. They always ensure they congratulate each other. They know how much hard work they've all put in, so everyone's happy for each other out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of the People's Republic of China.
That concludes the ceremonies for the opening two events, the men's floor and the women's vault. And the floor, Wang Yan of China ahead of Emily Little of Australia, and the 20-year-old from the ACT, Naomi Lee, with the bronze. Men's pommel next event, and those athletes will be introduced shortly. They'll have their warm-up period.
So the 8 finalists for the men's pommel horse marching out. A rich history in pommel horse in Australia, with Australia's own Prashant Salathirai taking it to the legend Christian Berkey, who's here with us. And hopefully we see another really close battle on pommel horse tonight. It's one of those apparatus where, you know, your shoulder's a little bit off centre and you're off the horse, and there goes your medal chance. So it's one of those ones where anybody in the final is in with a chance for a medal. Hopefully some of the young Australians can take it to Christian Berkey and the rest of the field.
Athletes just being introduced here. Our start list is Ahmed Onda from Turkey, but I reckon that's Atakan who's been introduced, and it is. So yeah, so Atakan, we saw him warming up, and I looked down at the start list and couldn't quite work out why his name wasn't on it, but he's there, and Odner's not. So Berkey's the tall athlete in the purple Hungarian uniform, the Olympic champion, and there's Chris Remke's one of just the two that are doing both events here. So the athletes warming up. We can go back down to James Sherry, who's with Emily Little.
Yes, Emily Little holding a jar of Vegemite with I like the idea. I'm not so sure about the actual word that's there. You're a bit disappointed?
Honestly, no. I mean, you know, I had some really good vaults out there tonight. I had high execution, and you know, coming second to those two amazing vaults, she had higher difficulty than me. So I'm just really happy with my execution, and I'm really keen to go home now and upgrade both of my vaults.
Yeah, and Alli was saying, I was chatting with her earlier, she said that at this stage in the cycle, you don't want to be shooting too high anyway, do you?
No, not really. I mean, it's the start of the year. I'm really happy to be here competing, like, in my home country, so that's exciting. But, yeah, it's just the start of the year, just getting a feel for things. So I'll start to upgrade my vaults now, and hopefully I'll come back here in May and do some harder vaults.
Indeed. Do you still hold on to the top spot? Because after Germany, you were #1 in the World Cup.
Yep. I'm not sure, actually. I'm hoping so. That would make my day.
But you didn't check the numbers before you started tonight?
No, I'm not sure. I'll wait and see.
Yeah. Emily, congratulations. Second, better than not making the podium, and good news for Australia is bronze and silver in the vault. So obviously some good depth and some good work that we can see coming through.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for all your cheering. I'm loving it. I'm going to go enjoy some Vegemite now.
Yeah, excellent. Do that.
Thanks. Vegemite and avocado. It's really good if you haven't tried it.
Nice. Thank you. There you go. There's something for all of us there.
Thanks, James, with Emily Little there, engaging character. And if you can send some of that avocado and Vegemite up to the commentary box, that would be fantastic. Men's Pommel not too far away. Athletes warming up for the Pommel. There's always a lot of alterations to the apparatus, and I've always wondered, Sam, Offord, what they're doing under there with the bottom of the horse. What, they're just tightening up the handles or spreading them a little further apart, or? Absolutely,
it does look like they're tickling the horse, but what they're actually doing is there's a little piece of equipment underneath that you can untie and make those handles wider or narrower as you see fit. So
by how much?
Oh, they'll go in from, there's probably a 10 to 20 centimetre variance across the two. Okay. So the guys can do that also on the parallel bars. You'll see that tomorrow night in our coverage. And so they'll measure exactly where they want that. Depending on how big you are, you might want it wider or smaller. So
based on the width of your shoulders or just personal preference? Or
normally based on the width of your shoulders is about right, but it is personal preference. So you'll see the guys actually put their forearm in between and measure between their elbow and the tip of their fingers. And normally it's around about that, give or take a couple of finger widths. So you'll see them vary that. And would there be much variation in that for this field? 8 competitors, how much would be the widest and the narrowest, and the difference between them? Oh, I reckon there would be 15, perhaps 10 to 15 centimetres. Wow. I mean, you look at somebody like Chris Remkes, who's, what did you say it was, 147? 140 centimetres. I think if he's that many, you can't call him 147 centimetres tall, can you? He's 147 centimetres short, and somebody like Christian Berkey is going to be having those handles a lot wider than him. So it does also vary depending on the skills that you do. So you might see some of the athletes do what we call Russian Wender swings, or those in the centre of the horse, and you might want the handles a little wider to accommodate for that. So it's personal preference depending on how big or tall you are and the skills that you'd like to perform on this apparatus. Well, you're a South Australian, Sam, so you probably a little envious of the fact that Melbourne's the sporting capital of the world, but Alli Raisman has been discovering all of that over the past couple of days. Where else did you go to, Manette, on the travelling road show of the 3-time Olympic champion, Alli Raisman? Well,
we saw some of the sites in Melbourne. You can see we saw the alleyways and all the artwork that Melbourne has to offer. Took her around Fed Square and down along the Yarra. It was a beautiful day, and of course I made sure she tried a Melbourne coffee to just top off the whole Melbourne experience.
Are gymnasts big coffee drinkers? I'll start with you, Manette.
I'd say 1 coffee a day would be probably a max that was my personal preference. But again, personal preference, so I like to stick to 1. What
about you, Sam? One wouldn't get me past 6:30.
I probably have 1 coffee before I even get out of bed in the morning, Dave. I was trying to study whilst competing at senior ranks, and I couldn't have got through either training or study, let alone both, without several coffees. So coffee it up for me.
Well, you picked a career that you should know a lot about as a gymnast because you're a physiotherapist. So plenty of experience firsthand of being on the other side of the physiotherapy bench.
Absolutely. I think that's probably what gave me my appreciation and love for the job that I now carry out. And what I tell everybody is that I spent 20 years learning to break my body, and now I'm learning how to fix them. So it's a great career to get into, so and allowed me to stay involved with gymnastics at another level. So it's been great.
One of the great things about hosting a major event like this Gymnastics World Cup is the young athletes that get to see their stars and their heroes up close. They'd all be totally bedazzled by Alli Raisman, that's for sure, but seeing the likes of Emily Little, and I know we talked about this last night, but when Manette won her World Championship bronze medal, Lauren Mitchell was one of the young athletes in the crowd, went on to become a world champion. Just 11 or 12, and there was another couple of athletes from the Western Australian Institute of Sport there at the same time that were busily watching you, Manette, win World Championship medals for Australia.
Yeah, there's something special about watching your idol, and especially if you can do it in, you know, the same country and watching them live. It's really empowering and very motivating, and so a lot of girls and boys out here tonight will be looking up to their idols and aspiring to be like them.
Well, you two were very lucky because you had a World Championship and the Commonwealth Games back to back in the same venue.
It was a very special thing, and hopefully these athletes, the Australian athletes, are getting a taste of that, what it's like to have a full stadium absolutely scream for you just because you're Australian. I know that was an amazing thing for myself when I got to, fortunately enough, to compete at both of those events, and hopefully that just gives them a taste and an appreciation for that and prepares them for what's to come in the Gold Coast in 404 days' time. I was told that the schedule for that comes out on April the 4th, and then by the end of April people can book their tickets. So I know after this everybody will be raring to go and trying to book their tickets for the gymnastics, so keep an eye on that.
So here's Fahad Atakan of Turkey, who's already collected a medal on floor, bronze, and he is the opening athlete to go in the men's Pommel final.
Some good one-handle flop work there, pressing up into the handstand. He'll come back down onto the horse in a second. Just managing to keep that going there. Judges are looking for really fluid movement through here and no leg separation, apart from obviously when he's doing the flares. The Shivado travel. Pressing up into the dismount. Just putting that together. So 2 from 2 for Atakan will be a happy little Vegemite.
Well, he's one of the athletes that will benefit from this new format with the Apparatus World Cup, because hard for Turkey to qualify a men's team for the game. So without that, you've got to rely on being an apparatus specialist or being the one all-rounder who might be able to get through to qualify for the games, which he did in Rio, finished 41st in the all-around competition.
Yeah, so a great thing for him to come here and see the event and see the venue where he'll hopefully try and qualify himself if they can't get that team through. So he's taking it with both hands this time and put together 2 good routines. So we'll see a bit of a replay of some of his work. He's supposed to try and keep that flowing the whole time, not stop in that handstand position. So the judges will use some ink on their pads for that one.
Just a little stumble there. It's such a difficult apparatus. You have to move from one end to the other and show all of those variations and keep moving.
Yeah, absolutely. I call it the beam with handles. It's not much wider than the beam. It's about 30 centimetres. And the gymnasts having to do the scissor work where they go with their legs in between. They also have to travel up and down the horse, as well as do some spinning and turning elements. So he's got all of that in there, but just not quite kept the fluidity up. So staying on the horse is the first job. And he's done that, and will post a score that everybody else will chase now.
13.900 is that score. So that's the opening effort for Fahad Atakan. And now, well, the man who the International Federation voted as the best pommel worker in history, Christian Berkey, the 31-year-old from Hungary, Olympic champion, 3-time world champion in this apparatus, and there is no better exponent than the 31-year-old from Hungary.
Also 6-time European champion on this event, and you'll see his scissor work at the start here, scissoring straight up to handstand. directly connected into the reverse scissor to handstand. You'll see that amplitude that he gets on the leg, swinging it right up high. And you'll see the beautiful line that he gets. Nice long legs and arms, helps him look very graceful on this event. So that's the spinning Russian Wender swing as part of those requirements. Triple Wendy swing in the middle. Straight into the Wu Guan Yan treble. So as we mentioned, you see Christian with the handles out quite wide to accommodate some of those skills there. Just a little hesitation up to handstand there, but that's probably the only blemish in that routine. And I can't see anybody catching him.
A lot of love for Christian Berkey, a knowledgeable and enthusiastic audience that know when they're watching one of the world's best, and that's what Christian Berkey is. Didn't qualify for Rio, had most of 2016 off after not qualifying for the Games. Disappointing that he wasn't able to get back and defend that gold medal he won in London. Three-time Hungarian Athlete of the Year.
Absolutely, but it appears that he's going to go around again for another cycle through to 2020. He's obviously hungry for another medal.
Yeah, nice pun. There's interesting that he's back so early, and we'll see it later with Sonia Weavers on the beam tomorrow night. You know, the Olympic champion from nations that don't necessarily win a lot of Olympic medals, the demands on your time are so extreme straight afterwards that most would be like Alli Raisman, just coming back and enjoying the event as an ambassador and not having to worry about the pressure of training and doing the rest of it. So impressive. 13.900. There's confirmation of that score for Ada Khan. He's obviously got the hunger, Berkey, to come back so quickly. Here's Michael Tone, Queensland, 20 years of age.
Decent scissor work to start. The scissor hop from one end to the other. Just sitting down a little bit there, but one handle work. He's trained hard, Michael, up in Queensland at the centre in Chandler. And Wu trouble, just clipping the horse with his feet, but managing to keep that momentum going. Tong Fei trouble there. Into the Magyar and Savato.
So difficult to maintain that momentum, isn't it? Once you've got your speed up, it doesn't take much to have a little tumble.
Absolutely. It's one of those things you need to be really pushing itself to the limit just to be able to keep that momentum up, and with nerves and the pressure of a final and following the 2012 Olympic gold medalist, sometimes you don't push those circles out and sometimes you can come unstuck, but hopefully Michael can finish this off cleanly now. Shavato just needs to push that out a little wider. Shalanley, the dismount to come up onto the handle, straight up in a handstand. So a clean finish. So be disappointed there, Michael. Obviously the goal is to stay on the apparatus. But a good experience for him to be in a star-studded final.
Well, he qualified in 7th spot with 12.333, so something in that order would be a good result for him.
See the Tong Fei travel there, and then he'll go. You see such a small area that the gymnasts have to work on, get two hands on that small handle as well. It's got to be perfectly precise hand placement. Just see this fall here, as you said, not quite pushing those circles out wide enough and getting the amplitude, and just clipping the leg on the handle there, which doesn't tickle. This dismount, you see, just clipping his foot there as well. So every time you do that, the judges are listening, and between 0.3 and 0.5 deduction for that. So a couple of errors and things to work on, but a good experience for Michael in a home World Cup.
So here's the score for Christian Berkey, 14.933. You've given him the gold medal already. There's still some talent to come, but based on what we saw in the qualifying, well, Weng Ho of China, 14.466, and his teammate Zhu Jingwan, they can challenge at 14.933 is a strong start. So here's Weng Ho, the 18-year-old from China.
Starting the same as Berkey there, the two scissors, but just a little bit of hesitation, so not done as perfectly. But you'll see a beautiful set of one-handle work and circles from the Chinese men. They always look effortless on this apparatus.
He's been a World Challenge gold medalist. Pommel horse in Portugal last year. He was 5th in Cottbus, the last World Cup to complete 2016.
Wu Guanyan to triple Russian, very well executed. You'll see the guys have to have both hands in line when they're in that what's called the loop position. The judges will take deductions if they're not, so he's done pretty well there. Maybe 0.1 if they're being really harsh, and he's not completed that dismount there, so that's going to hurt him. Would have been aiming to go all the length of the horse and do a full 360-degree turn and land on the other side, so he won't fool the judges there. That will be a bit of deduction, and I think we'll keep Berkey in front.
So Wang Hao of China, one of this group of young Chinese athletes who are here in Melbourne.
Apart from that slight hesitation on that second scissor element and then getting caught out on the dismount, beautiful line and beautiful execution on this apparatus.
I was thinking which is the most difficult apparatus for young athletes. Is it the pommel or is it the rings? And then I added the parallel bars in as well. There's so many different men's apparatus that are so tough. Is there one that's harder than the other for the youngsters as they come through the ranks?
I think you're right. So a lot of the time, the composure on the pommel horse is a difficult thing. But often you can get by and learn a lot of new skills without needing that adult body, whereas rings takes a lot of time to develop that strength. And then, as you said, there's parallel bars, there's horizontal bar, there's floor, there's all of the other apparatus. But I think in terms of developing that really mature adult body, rings is probably the one that comes on the latest. But there's 6 apparatus to work on and there's lots of skills to learn, so plenty of work to do.
Well, we'll see the rings a little later with the women's uneven bars. 11.633 was the score for Michael Tone. We'll wait for Wang's score. This is Zoltan Kalai of Hungary, 32-year-old, 4-time World Championship representative. This is his best apparatus. So 14.333, you can see the score for Wang. So it's behind Berkey's 14.933.
So the forward scissor to handstand, taking a couple of scissor swings in the middle to get and do the reverse scissor to handstand. So a common start that you will see with a lot of the top guys on pommel horse. And into that one-hander work, guys like to get that out of the way. It's often the most nervy and the hardest to do, so you do that while you're fresh, relatively. So the Wu Guanyan not doing the triple Russian at the end of that, may do that later. Good treble work, hands not perfectly square. So quick routine up into the handstand, and that's a well-executed dismount. So very clean routine there from Zoltan Kalai.
So obviously the athletes have to put a number of elements into their routine, but the duration can vary from athlete to athlete.
Absolutely. You can do as many circles as you like in between some of the skills to prepare, but the guy's aiming to do the least amount that they can. The less time you can spend on there means less time the judges can take deductions, and you do try and coordinate and design your routine so that you get on and get off as quickly as possible. So good close up there, showing that precise movement of the hands. Not sure exactly what the difficulty will be. Perhaps a little lower than Berkey's, but I think he might just squeeze himself in between first and second there, Kalai, with that. I've had a good track record of guessing so far, so we'll see how we go.
His qualifying routine had a degree of difficulty of 5.7 to Berkey's 6.3. So this one was 6.2. So just in behind there, 14.333. And that's the score for Wang Hao, whose difficulty of 6.2 was just behind. So yeah, Kalai was 5.7 in qualifying, so we'll wait to see if he can go above the 14.333 of Wang Hao. And only see it on the scoreboard when the next athlete gets up, and that's Yusuke Sato of Japan.
Just going through a bit of mental rehearsal there of that routine. Judges are ready for him now. Again, the Japanese normally beautiful workers on this apparatus too, so see what Sato can produce. Straight into the scissor work. A bit of a banana bend in the back in that first one. So the single handle work, often called flops. And he's just managed to save that, putting those hands not quite in the right position to get the difficulty that he'd be looking for. Had to adjust so that he stayed on the horse. A nice circle hop to handstand dismount there. I think we'll see that fairly low in the difficulty compared to Christian Berkey, but he managed to save that and stay on the horse. So interesting to see the score as we saw that nearly lost over the top. That scissor to handstand, and that one coming just a little bit short of handstand. So a couple of things to work on there. So we'll see that woo travel just nearly falling off there. The gymnast will need to keep the middle of their chest just over the middle of the horse, otherwise it's very hard to stay on. It's a bit of a coaching tip that coaches will give young athletes. There's a good transition to handstand on that dismount. So happy to stay on, but a little bit to work on there for Saito.
So we wait for his score, but here are the standings with Berkey leading 14.933, the London Olympic champion, ahead of Wang of China, and Berkey's teammate Zoltan Kalai, the Hungarian, in third place, 14.966, just ahead of Atakan, who's not going to get his second medal of these opening World Cup of 2017. Michael Tone in fifth, but we wait for the score of Saito, 13.533. And next up is Zhu Jinyuan, the 18-year-old from China.
Just missing the start of that routine there, but going into his scissor work now. Very impressive young Chinese gymnast, only 19 years of age. I think he's going to be a superstar to come. And I've almost jinxed him there. Commentator's curse. Moving into the Magyar and Savado travels, the forwards and backwards down the length of the horse. Up in a handstand. A very nice line from the young Chinese gymnast there.
They qualified third for this final, just behind his teammate Wang Pro. And so something in the 14s will have him on the podium for sure. Just one competitor to come, that's Chris Remkes of Australia.
It's a beautiful full spindle and then the triple Russian on the end to start with, and then into the one hand work. Or one handle, I should say. One hand would be a bit hard. You see this dismount straight up to the top of handstand there without any hesitation. So very clean routine there from Zoe, and we'll see whether he can feature in the medals. But hopefully the young pocket rocket from Australia, Christopher Remkes, can push for one of these medals. He does have a decent difficulty on here and can show a really nice line. He does have a couple of really nice elements. He'll do some circles up into handstand and then come back down onto the horse if he does what he's been training anyway.
He qualified in fourth, but he will need to improve on the 13.4 that he scored. So there's 14.433 for Zhu. So that has him in second spot. So the medal at the moment is Wang of China at 14.333. That's the bronze medal going into this final performer. It's Chris Remkes of Australia in the men's pommel.
Good scissor to handstand there. Clean start, as we said, up into the handstand. A little bit of hesitation there, unfortunately, and he's kicked the horse on the way down, so it's going to lose him some deduction marks in his execution. Well muscled around there in the one handle. And the three Russian swings on the end of the horse. Into his treble work now. Just clipped the horse there at the end, just letting those feet get a little too low. It's disappointing for Chris. He may have lost too many deduction marks on that work where he went up in a handstand and came back down, but he'll definitely be out of the medals, unfortunately, now with that fall. It's often hard coming up last. You warm up, then you have to wait for everybody to go and get a little colder than everybody else, as well as the pressure of the performers in front of you. We've seen some good routines. Hopefully Chris can push this dismount up quickly. Upgrading that one well with the turn up and down the horse, but unfortunately won't feature in the medals, but a good experience for him in another final in a World Cup.
Well, he was close to getting this job done, wasn't he, before he came off? He just had that final element before the dismount. Got the 20-year-old from South Australia, based in Canberra. The experience of a World Cup final. You can see there it started to go a little south, and he knew that he wasn't able quite to get the routine done.
So the gymnast, the value of that dismount goes up 2 values when he travels down the horse one way and then back the other.
So there's the score for Zhu Jingwan, 14.433, which has him in second spot behind Christian Berkey. Weng Ho from China third, 14.333, and I reckon they'll be our podium place getters in the men's pommel. I don't think that I'm certain that Chris Remkes won't be up into the 14s that he would need to be on the podium here. Hungarian fans happy. Busy signing autographs for the fans, having told us all that she needs to have some avocado and Vegemite. She'll be back tomorrow night for finals on the second night of the finals here. Sell out tomorrow night at Melbourne's Hisense Arena. So here's Remke's 11.800. So that will have him in 7th spot.
Yeah, thumbs up. He's still have been up. He's got a couple of, he's at least got the vault final to come tomorrow, so, and a couple of big vaults for him, so looking forward to that.
So here's the final standings of the men's pommel, and it's Christian Berkey, the London Olympic gold medalist, taking the gold medal here as head of Zhu of China. Weng, China, silver and bronze to China. We've already won gold in the women's vault. Kalai of Hungary just tipped out of the medals. There's the middle winning routines. And this was Weng Hao, the 18-year-old World Challenge winner last year on this apparatus.
Just showing how it's done. That beautiful triple Russian on the one handle. Very difficult to execute. Most of the athletes deciding to do those at the end on the leather, much like Howe's doing there. You can also do it on the one handle, so plenty of tricks in his bag. It's just a beautiful line on the horse. The judges will be looking to see if there's an angle at the hips, and as you can see with him, beautifully straight. So he'll be dark on himself that he didn't execute that dismount as well, because that could have put him above the great Christian Berkey. But
so Zhu Jingwan, like Weng, just 18 years of age. Busy beginning for him.
Yeah, opting to do the scissors at the scissor requirements in the middle of his routine, which not as common as getting it done at the start. Sometimes it's harder to break the rhythm with your scissor work in the middle, but very talented young gymnast. You can see a very strong and power-packed competitor. Coming a little unstuck there, just in that three-quarter Russian off the one handle. But again, beautiful travel work. Beautiful line through the hips to shoulders. And not mucking around, taking that dismount straight to handstand. So deserving of the silver medal there. A little cleaner than his Chinese counterpart. But the magician, who was up second, showed everybody how to put himself up into first place.
And here he is, Christian Berkey, the 31-year-old, who 3 times the world champion, Olympic champion from London. Tallest man in the field, but such elegance.
It's with that long body and long line of his, it makes it look like he's got extra time compared to everybody else. Just always in ultimate control of his body. That's the triple Russian in between the handles, which is very hard. You've got those handles right near you there, and it's hard to keep clearance over those. See those travels up and down the horse. Everybody does those slightly differently. Some of them stepping on the handles and then back down. Christian choosing to go in between the handles.
So 14.933, the winning score for Christian Berkey. So there's the confirmation of those standings, with Berkey ahead of Zhu and Wang in the men's pommel. So a little coach challenge going on out on the arena at the moment, so we'll take a look around the sights of Melbourne. Best gymnasts are going to love coming to Melbourne for the next 4 years for this Apparatus World Cup in the lead up to the Tokyo Olympic Games. Ready for the medal ceremony for the men's pommel. Still to come, women's uneven bars and men's rings. Zhu Jinwan, who's on the podium here in second place, will return for the rings, along with Michael Tone, who was in 8th spot. Just the two backing up those Apparatus. It's a busy half an hour or so for those two competitors. Two of the most punishing Apparatus, and women's uneven bars, where Australia have got a strong hand with Rihanna Mizzen and Georgia Rose Brown up against two very talented Chinese competitors. And still to come, this opening night of finals at the World Cup of Gymnastics here in Melbourne. It's a good start for Christian Berkey, Sam, that he's been able to come back from the disappointment of not being able to defend his title in Rio at 31 years of age. I think, do I call it a day? Shoulder injury that kept him out of qualifying for the Games, but he's returned, and plenty of support from the Hungarian fans, and he won't be young by the time he gets to Tokyo, another 3.5 years' time.
No, but he's certainly got the form, and we can see that he's still one of the masters of this Apparatus. So not having spoken to him, but I think perhaps the disappointment of missing out on Olympic Games means that he's hungry to get back for the first set of competitions as soon as they're on, and that chance was given to him with this World Cup here in Melbourne. So I think he probably, when you have a disappointment like that, sometimes just getting back on the horse, so to speak, is some of the best medicine for it.
So Weng Ho, bronze medalist here.
In second place, the winner of the silver medal is score of 14.433, representing the People's Republic of China, Zhou Jinwan. First place, and winner of the gold medal with a score of 14.933, representing
figure, the big man from Hungary, takes the gold medal here in the men's pommel horse.
There's no fuss with Christian. He's a very nice guy, very personable, quiet guy, but as you said, very popular around the world and around the circuit, and you can't deny that when he's as successful as he is.
Place getters in the men's pommel horse with Christian Berkey, pleasing the Hungarian fans here at Hisense Arena with his victory.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our presentation. We will be back with the next presentation.
So the pommel horse podium place getters leave, and we're not too far away from seeing the finalists in the men's rings and the women's uneven bars. So we'll have our warm-up for both of these apparatus. The women's uneven bars, you can see it on the right-hand side. The men's rings, the tall structure on the left. They do have a warm-up area out the back, but not the full podium. You can see the competition area up off the ground, the weighted apparatus, and it does take a little bit of getting used to. Manette Russo's rejoined us, enjoyed the pommel horse action, and I'm looking forward to the uneven bars. It's always such a great apparatus to watch the women. And Brianna Misen, the 17-year-old from Australia, the Australian all-around champion, great young talent for Australia.
Absolutely. She has a world-class routine, and if she can put it all together and execute it well, she's definitely got a chance to get onto that medal podium tonight.
So not too far away from introducing the finalists. 6 women in the uneven bars and 8 men for the rings final. Good crowd enjoying their night here at Hisense Arena. That have waited for some time since their warm-up period, almost 90 minutes, close to 2 hours ago now. It's been a long wait. They've had the opportunity to do some action in the warm-up area, Sam, but it's not the same as getting out here onto the podium.
No, absolutely not. And they've had about an hour and a half earlier before the crowds flocked in tonight to be able to get on the podium once more and feel the equipment. But these finals that are later in the program, you definitely have to trust your instincts and back what you did earlier. They'll be able to get physically warm, but just have to trust their skills and hope they've done enough come finals time.
So the coach is busy too, particularly on the uneven bars. Athletes introduced here. Rihanna Mizzen, the first athlete to go in the women's uneven bars final, the 17-year-old from Queensland. And in the men's rings, Michael Tone, the 20-year-old from Queensland, who we saw in the Pommel final along with Zhu Jingwan of China. Top qualifier here was Wu Guanhua of China. Ibrahim Cholek of Turkey. Third on the right-hand side there was the second qualifier in the men's rings competition. There's Rihanna Mizzen. Tan Ying Hui we saw earlier in the vault. Lu Huan, 16-year-old from China, the #1 qualifier. Tracy Ang from Malaysia. Georgia Rose Brown, the 22-year-old based in Victoria from Queensland, and Liu Qingqing of China, who was the third qualifier, but not much in the scores between the top three there. So Rihanna Mizzen, big chance to feature on the podium in the women's uneven bars. So athletes will commence their warm-up. That means we can go back down to James Sherry, who's got the winner of the men's pommel, Christian Berkey.
Gold medal here tonight. You must be very happy. Look at the smile on your face.
Yeah, I'm not a young man, but I'm here. And I won the gold medal, and I'm very, very happy.
You're not a young man, and for a gymnast 32, you're actually very old, aren't you?
Yes.
You're competing against 19, 20-year-old boys. They've got a long way to go, haven't they?
Yeah, I was in 2005, the first time in Melbourne, the World Championship. I was 4th place. Yeah, I'm too young, but now I'm very old.
Will we see you back here again, perhaps next year?
Yes.
That would be terrific. You have some fans in the crowd too. They've been holding up the flag for you.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks for the Hungarian fans.
No, thank you for a wonderful performance, Christian. It was terrific.
Thank you very much.
Give us your shoes.
Christian Berkey there, the gold medalist from the men's pommel horse. So warm-ups continuing on rings, patiently waiting for their turn. What are they working on here? Again, a bit like the men's floor. You one touch, you've got a set period of time, not enough time to do your full routine.
No, technically you've got 30 seconds up on the ring, so you get 3 minutes as a cumulative group on floor, but all the other apparatus you get 30 seconds worth of warm-up. So the guys get, that's fairly stringently timed by the judges. So the idea in this warm-up is to just get a feel of holding some of your strength hold positions, as well as just getting the timing of the rings in all of the swinging elements. So they'll do a little bit of that. They don't want to do too much and wear themselves out. So a few swings, a few quick strength holds, and then a practice of an easier level dismount, and then you're ready to go.
What did you like to do? Commonwealth Games gold medalist in this apparatus. What was your routine for the warm-up and the final opportunity?
Yeah, I always wanted to do a bit like the Chinese gymnasts do, doing there a couple of swings straight to handstand to try and hold them, so you could feel that and get the confidence of knowing exactly how that felt with the tension on the rings, and also just to feel that you were feeling strong, so you'd get into a couple of the different strength holds that you would do, and then I'd get off pretty quickly because I didn't want to wear out any energy that I had. You want to keep as much strength as you can for the routine at hand.
We'll notice in between in fact you can see the Turkish coach on the right hand side, they just alter the tension of make sure it's as stiff as possible. Does it alter much between what you did in the qualifying and how it is today, or once it's set up, is the feel of the apparatus pretty much the same?
Oh, look, it can really vary depending on, as you said, those tensioners. They can move them up and down. Sometimes the equipment that comes from a competition like this is brand new, so when you've had 3 or 4 days on it, it really loosens up, and you can it can have a really different feel to it. So that's why it's important, not only for safety, but just for familiarity. The athletes do get that one-touch warm-up, and you hopefully get the exact feel that you need so that you can perform at your best.
What about for you, Manette, on uneven bars, where you get the same opportunity, but what were you concentrating on when you had your warm-up?
Yeah, well, exactly the same as on the rings. You get the 30-second touch, and for myself, I'd like to just feel the bars and go through about half of my routine. Just get the first half out, feel confident, and feel the swing of the bars, feel the tension, and all about just feeling and getting familiar with the apparatus again.
What about for Rihanna, and in fact all the athletes in this final, but for Rihanna in particular, Rihanna Mizen, the 17-year-old from Queensland, who warmed up out here nearly 2 hours ago now and has had a long wait, a nervous wait when you're just 17, competing in a World Cup in your home country. What would she have been doing in the period of time from the warm-up to now?
So she definitely would have been out in the behind apparatus there, just doing a few basic skills, and a lot of visualizing goes on when you're back there, thinking about your routine, thinking how you're going to execute it when you get up onto that podium, and talking with the coach, sometimes doing a few things to relax and get your mind off it for a bit so you don't get too worked up. But once you're out here, it's game on, and you have to be ready to perform the routine.
So 2 Australians in the final here. Georgia Rose Brown, Commonwealth Games team silver medalist from Glasgow, World Championship all-round finalist, and at 173 centimetres, the tallest gymnast in the female ranks. Is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
Well, some would say it's a disadvantage, but for Georgia, she has really brought it into her own, and she's got such beautiful lines. Definitely on this apparatus, I think it's helped her. The judges love to see the artistic lines that she has, and being so tall, she does actually have to raise the bar by 10 centimetres so that she doesn't hit her feet along the ground when she's performing her skills.
Along with Emma Nedov, who we'll see tomorrow night in the women's beam final, went to the World University Games for Australia last year in Gwangju in Korea. So warm-up comes to an end, and we're not too far away from the final, where Rihanna Mizen in the uneven bars. In the men's, will be an Australian that starts proceedings as well, with Michael Tone kicking things off. Qualified 8th, but great effort for the 20-year-old to be through to the final.
It's a pretty strong field, pardon the pun there, Dave, on rings with this group. A couple of really high scores from 2 Chinese guys near the top, with Ibrahim Kolak, the Turkish gymnast, rounding out that top 3. So looking forward to seeing that rings final after we get the girls underway.
Well, Wu Guanhua was the leading qualifier in the rings, 14.766. It's a big score. There's Michael Tone. Just final preparations for him. Australia have announced their teams for the Baku and Doha legs of the World Cup still to come, and Michael will be off there. It's a good opportunity to get the experience of competing internationally. It's one thing competing in your home country, but when you actually have to travel to Azerbaijan and Qatar, it's a little bit different. To downtown Melbourne.
Absolutely. Azerbaijan, perhaps a country that not a lot of people have heard of, let alone travel to. So, but a great experience, and beautifully it works out well for our Australian athletes that they can compete in their hometown, get some of the early calendar year cobwebs out, and then hopefully go and improve into the next 2 World Cups, as you said, over in Baku and Doha.
They're a big event city now, Baku. They hosted the European Games, the first edition of the European Games a couple of years ago.
Speaking to people who have been to those events, put on really good events too. So guys and girls team going over there will have a good experience, and hopefully some great results.
So we're going to start on the rings, and it will be Michael Tone of Australia, the Queenslander, 20 years of age, who will start this men's rings final. Presents to the judges and about to get underway.
So you'll see elements of strength holds, also some swinging into strength holds, and then swings through and to handstand from all of the athletes. Michael starts with a beautiful back-up rise to Maltese. And a kip to Maltese. Judges will be looking for an even line between shoulders, hips and toes. And needing to hold for a minimum of 2 seconds. And try and make it look effortless, as Michael's done there. Into these swinging elements now. Straight into the back-up rise straddle planche. And then the Azarian across, just keeping that one in the line of the rings. So we'll be swinging up into handstand after that Yamawaki, and just not quite giving it enough to get straight to handstand. It'll be a bit of a deduction on that one. A bit wobbly in that giant swing also. Well, cleanly stuck dismount. So just got to work on those swinging elements for Michael. Got to wave to the crowd. And good performance to kick things off on the rings tonight.
So 13.066 was his qualifying score. Improvement on that would be a good result for the young Queenslander. Underway, women's uneven bars. Rihanna Mizzen.
Rihanna starting off with her Weiler kips that not too many female gymnasts do. Doing this nice connection. Catch up into her sharp half. And executing all their skills. Judges want to see her finish in handstand. Doing a full-in dismount. And overall, a very nice routine. Few small deductions in there, but she'll be happy with that routine starting off the competition well on the uneven bars.
Well, it's a new routine for her. First time she's performed it in competition was in the qualifying round. 14.100 was her qualifying score. Second best we've seen. So it'll be interesting to see what score she puts down here. You're talking yesterday, Manette, that you like to go first, put the pressure on everybody else.
Like to go first, like to get it out of the way and just let everyone else try and catch up is the aim. But Rihanna has a very high difficulty score in this apparatus, so she's really putting a challenge to the rest of the athletes.
So you can see the score for Michael Tone, 12.600, so just under the 13.066 that he scored in qualifying. This is Wu Guanghua, who was the leading qualifier, the 22-year-old from China.
There should be a special routine here. The Azarian up to planche. Amazing strength. And then the Azarian straight to Maltese. As you can see, perfectly straight line through the rings from shoulders through the toes. Judges will put their pens down at this rate. And the back up rise to planche position. Gymnasts only allowed to do 3 of the elements from the strength or swing to strength groups in a row. Then they have to break it up with a swinging element, so you'll see that commonly. And the Honda straight into cross, just lifting the chin up to say, I could do this a couple more times if you need me to. So just swinging up into handstand now. Beautifully controlled. Well, I think like Christian Berkey on the Pommel horse, the young Chinese athlete there up second is going to be very, very hard to beat. That was beautifully executed routine, and a stuck dismount at the end means that he'll be pushing for an even higher score than 14.766, I'd imagine.
Now, a degree of difficulty of 6.2 in his qualifying routine, and only Kolek has got close to that with 6.1. So if that's any indication of the difficulty scores, but this execution from Wu was superb.
Yeah, the double layout with full turn. He did have to pike that down a little bit at the end, so the judges will take a bit, but I can't see them taking too much else. And rightly so. Very happy with a fist bump to the crowd. Beautiful routine.
So back to uneven bars. This is Tan Ing Nguyen of Malaysia, and I can tell you that the score for Rihanna Mizzen was 13.433.
And not the best of starts for Tan Ing Nguyen there, just coming off on her mount, her toe on full, coming up short and going over the bar. But getting back up, continuing the rest of the routine, straight into her shap, connected to shoot over. A requirement that the girls must do is to have a flight element in between the bars. Doing her nice Jaeger. And doing just a layout dismount. Keeping it nice and simple there, and not too many deductions apart from that fall, so I'm sure she will be wanting to get back up and do it again, but unfortunately that's the nature of this sport, is you get one shot.
She finished in 4th place in the women's vault final, Tan Ing Nguyen. Back to rings. Second of the Chinese men in the final here, Zhu Yingwan was in 2nd place in the Pommel.
Amazing strength for such a young man. That Azarian to cross. Azarian to Maltese, rather, and then the Nakayama to cross. Done beautifully. Back up rise to inverted cross. Holding that one very low. Executing it brilliantly. The two swinging elements, the Yonasan and the Yamawaki, the double pike and the double tuck between the rings. He hasn't had enough of the strength yet. Back up rise to planche. And for good measure, a perfect back up rise to Maltese. So lots of difficulty here, so he'll be taking it to his Chinese teammate. Very minor hesitation there, maybe a 0.1 deduction from the judges. Winding up into his dismount now. That beautifully stuck dismount, so he says, anything you can do, Wu, I can do as well. And it's going to be hard to split those two.
Well, 14.866 was the score for Wu. Same degree of difficulty from the qualifying round for Zhu, so can he go one step higher on the podium from his Pommel horse Silver, the 18-year-old? 14.866 is the leading score so far from his teammate Wu Zhuanghua.
You see this dismount here. Double tuck with double twist. Just holding that position to show the judges, yes, that's right, I didn't step at all.
So there's confirmation of that score for Wu, 14.866.
As suspected, just a little higher than that qualifying score. He will be hard to catch, but Zhu has thrown the gauntlet down.
Okay, back to uneven bars, and Lu Huan, who led the qualifying, a 16-year-old from China, Australian Youth Olympic Festival competitor back in 2013. Also has represented China at Pacific Rim Championships. The one to beat here on the women's uneven bars.
Absolutely. The Chinese always work this apparatus so beautifully. Their lines already showing some difficult skills in this routine, and here she comes into her Heelys, into L grip, Heely into L grip, proving very difficult into a nice high pike Jaeger. The judges are really looking for her to finish all her elements in handstand. I think there was an extra half swing in there, but still continuing the routine, winding up to the dismount, showing a nice straight layout double. A very, very beautiful routine from Juan. Here we can see her flight elements in between the bar. Sharp. Connecting those two elements gives her extra connection values, so bringing her difficulty value up. And showing a nice stretched out position in her double layout dismount. Should be very happy with that routine there.
So wait for the score there. The Australian Alli Raisman leading the women's uneven bars. Back to the rings, and Debbie Dyson, the 23-year-old from New Zealand.
Great to see the New Zealand athletes here. It's a good thing for them to get some experience on the international stage as well. Good back up rise Maltese to start from Dyson. And the Honmut across, just coming in a little high there. Oh, and straight into the Nakayama across. Just holding that one long enough. Coming into the swinging elements now, the double pike and the double tuck. So the back up rise to straddle L. It's not quite the high difficulty of the two Chinese before him. Clean routine so far. Nice reverse giant to handstand. Must be held for 2 seconds, and the gymnasts need to keep the rings from swinging forwards and backwards as much as they can, and he's kept good control there. Into the front double pike dismount. Just keeping his feet on that one. So clean routine from Debbie Dyson there. Won't push him up above the Chinese athletes, but still a good routine from him.
Well, the score's in for Zhu Yingwan, and it's the same as his teammate Wu Wanghui, 14.866. So we're headed for a count back there. Our monitor says that Wu is leading ahead of Zhu, but as we saw on the men's Pommel, in fact it was the men's floor, wasn't it, where we had the Atakan and Tanagawa sharing the same score, but Atakan getting the bronze on a count back. I'll leave that one till we get the official confirmation.
I reckon we get him to do it again.
Okay, you can go down and tell them that. Tracy Ang, Malaysia, up on uneven bars, the 23-year-old world champs, Commonwealth Games and World Unit Games representative.
And starting off with a clear hip full, doing her Jaeger release. Shoot over, holding that, just couldn't quite gather the strength to keep it on the bar, and she's come off there.
Well, she gets ready to get back on, and then I can tell you that Lu Huan, 13.866, so she's in the lead. Rihanna Misson in second spot at the moment, the Australian, after the first three competitors.
So here we see that shoot over, and just has bananaed her back a bit too much on that one, as we say, and gone off the bar, but finishing off with a strong dismount, double layout, and a small hop on the dismount. Still big smiles from Tracy Ang, so happy to be in this final and something to work on for next time.
So just two competitors remaining in this women uneven bars final. One of them, the next to go will be Georgia Rose Brown of Australia, and then Liu Qingqing of China. So medals absolutely still in dispute in the women's uneven bars. Next up on the rings, it's Ahmet Onda of Turkey. We did say he had a big program. He had 6 finals. Of course, he missed the Pommel, allowing Atakan to step in. So just the 5, still a big program. He's about to go on the rings.
Perhaps might have been to give him a break for this one. So starting with the Azerian across. Back up rise to Maltese. Slight arch in the body there. Again, the kip straight through to Maltese, needing to hold that. Need to stay perfectly still for 2 seconds for the judges to take no deductions. Again, the popular double front and double tuck between the rings. Straight into the back up rise to planche and appreciated by the crowd. Some nice swing work. A little bit of hesitation there, and he'll wind up into a dismount. Again, double twist and double tuck, and just kicking that one out a little too early and putting the handstand. So that'll be a 1.0 deduction for Onda there. Yeah, congratulations.
Let's go, John!
From teammate there. So a good performance until that dismount. Sometimes it's the balance between doing enough of the strength elements and not too many, so you've got enough gas and petrol in the tank at the end to make sure that the dismount gets around, and he's just not quite giving himself enough rotation to pull that one around in time.
They look like toe breakers, those landings, when you come up a little short. So we'll wait for the score for Onda, but the standings before him, Wu and Zhu sharing the 14.866 with Dyson from New Zealand and Tone the top four. Onda waiting for his score. Kolek Yamamuro, who was a member of that team that won the gold medal in Rio, and from Hong Kong still to come. Back to the uneven bars. Georgia Rose Brown from Australia.
Starting off her routine very nicely with the toe full into a shut. Connecting her releases. Shoot over, hitting it right on handstand. Those long lines looking beautiful on this apparatus. Jaeger. And a nice flow happening in this routine, which the judges love to see. Just a dismount. Nailing that dismount there. That's the last thing in the judge's mind is your dismount, so making it big and bold like that is what we want to see.
And the reaction from the crowd too is ringing in the ears of the judges. So Georgia Rose Brown, the 22-year-old, putting in a good performance here in the final of the women's uneven bars. Currently the leading score is 13.866 of Lu Huan of China.
Which it will be difficult to beat, but I think this one could be up there in contention to get a place on the podium. We'll have to wait and see what the judges think.
So while we wait for that score, we head back to the rings, and this is Ibrahim Çolak of Turkey, the 21-year-old, qualified in second spot. World Cup bronze medalist on rings back in 2014, a Mediterranean Games bronze medalist, and a three-time World Championship representative for Turkey.
A very strong guy and a great performance in the qualifying, so hopefully he can challenge the two Chinese men at the top. The Azerian all the way up to planche. It's a very, very difficult skill. And then into the Azerian to Maltese. Perhaps a little short on time there if you're being critical, which the judges will be. Back up rise to planche. Perhaps the toes just a little low. Yamawaki and Jonasson. Excellently done. Straight into back up rise to Maltese and the Naki arm and across. So plenty of difficulty. We'll just see if his he's thrown me there. Added more difficulty with the Honmut across. So hopefully the swing work can be as clean. He's just bent the arms there, which is going to cost him. And the double pipe again, just opening out a little early. It's a very difficult dismount to land. It's what we call a blind landing. You can't quite see the floor on the way out. Not like the other dismounts where you can twist or spot the floor as you come around. So
well, he's pretty satisfied with his work, Ibrahim Çolak.
And he should be. It's a difficult routine. And I'm being picky with those deductions, which you have to be on rings. With so many hold positions, it's easier for the judges to really be critical and cast their eye over those hold positions. As you can see, just opening out a little early and having to take a couple of steps backwards. I think in his heart of hearts there, he knew that perhaps the step on landing might have cost him a bit, but he will be fighting for a minor medal with that routine, I would suspect.
So final competitor not too far away in the uneven bars. Give you the standings there. So Liu of China ahead of Missen, Georgia Rose Brown 13.066. But Liu Qingqing of China still to come, qualified in third spot. So Georgia Rose Brown is in the precarious position of sitting in third with an athlete capable of dislodging her from the podium about to come. She's on her way.
Absolutely. Again, beautiful lines in this routine and connecting that shap into the pack, which is seeing a lot of that combination. Shap half. Doing a 1.5 Healy, a very difficult element there to execute, trying to get all those turns to finish right on handstand. Her Pike Jaeger. And winding up for the dismount here. Double layout. Small hop at the end, but a well-executed routine, and coach congratulates her. So I think that will definitely put her up there.
She's scored 14.066 in her qualifying routine, and she only needs 13.066 to get on the podium here. So this might be enough to challenge the gold medal, which is 13.866. So we'll come back to that score for Liu, final competitor in the women's uneven bars, and go to Koji Yamamura, gold medalist from Rio, silver from London in the Japanese team, just to make that Japanese team 2 consecutive Olympics. No mean feat. Bronze medalist at the World Championships as well in this apparatus, as well as being a bronze in the all-around. He's a quality competitor, is Yamamura.
Absolutely, he is. As you can see, the angle there just a little high with the shoulders, and that Azerian to Maltese. He's going to need to be spot on to challenge the 2 tied Chinese gymnasts at the top. Back up rise to inverted cross and pushing up the handstand, which is not seen often. And the Jonasson straight into, that's a perfect Maltese, a bit better than that first one. Back up rise to planche. Again, just the toes a little low early, and then he's lifted them up at the end. And a nice Azerian to cross, I think, to finish the strength work. He'll work his way to handstand now. Good control there. We'll see him wind up with double out with full twist. A little bit piked in that one. So a solid routine, but perhaps lots of little errors there that might keep him behind the 2 Chinese athletes, I think.
Well, they're currently tied and can't be separated on the countback either. Wu and Zhou. China at 14.866. So Yamamura, she needs to get up onto the podium. Debbie Dyson, the New Zealander, at 13.333. So, in fact, Cholik 14.366 is up into third place. So that's going to be tight between Cholik and Yamamura. Here's the final results in the women's uneven bars. Liu and Missen. So the final competitor, Liu Qingqing, takes the victory, the gold medal, with 14.300 ahead of Liu of China. So 2 wins for China tonight, winning the women's vault and the women's uneven bars, and Rihanna Missen gets the bronze. Georgia Rose Brown 4th place. There's the ladies in the uneven bars. So 2 wins for China. Wang Yan taking gold in the women's vault, and then her teammate Liu Qingqing. And another medal for Australia with Rihanna Missen getting the bronze. Goes with the silver medal from Emily Little from the women's vault. final competitor in the men's rings, Q Chung Ning of Hong Kong.
So the last of the competitors on the men's rings. Starting with a beautiful pull from hang straight through to planche. Very strong athlete. Azerian to Maltese. We've seen some good variation in the rings finalists tonight. Going to the swinging work, the double tuck and the double pike, and then straight into the Honmeta cross. Well executed. Just extending the fingers there to show the judges that he's not got what we call an overgrip with the wrists bent over the rings too much, which is a deduction. Back up, rise to handstand, well held, winding through to the dismount, the double twisting double tuck, and unfortunately just undercooking that one again. So that one would have been close to that third place, I think, if he could have stood that dismount up, but not to be today. So a hotly contested rings final and some very decent scores, so great to see. So we'll see a replay there of Ning. Azerian across, you can see all those muscles working overtime to keep him upright there. And winding up into that dismount. Just, I think, keeping not quite a tight tucked position, which will help him get around quicker. That's easy for me to say up here. He'll be quite fatigued at the end of all of that strength work. But if he can pull that dismount around in future competitions, he will be a force to be reckoned with, I think.
So waits for his score. 6-time World Championship representative and Asian Championships bronze medalist, the 25-year-old, and in good company here with Wu Zhuanghui and Zhu Xingwan of China, who have both scored 14.866 to lead this men's rings final. Ibrahim Çolak of Turkey in third place, 14.366. So there's the current standings, and my understanding, Sam, is that they're unable to be separated, but I will wait to see them march out for the medal ceremony before we...
Absolutely. If it was up to me, I'd give them 2 gold medals. I think they were both equally great routines, but I don't decide these things. But they were 2 fantastic routines, and I think we did say it was going to be hard to split. And it seems that's been the case.
Well, their qualifying routines had the same degree of difficulty as 6.2, which Wu completed with more success than Zhu in the qualifying round, but their performance in the final unable to be separated at the moment. And the Australian Michael Tone finishes in 6th place. Here's a recap of the women's uneven bars medalists. Rihanna Mizzen-Manette, the 17-year-old from Queensland, winning the bronze medal.
Yeah, she'll be very happy with that, and she's got the routine worthy of that medal and the little things that she could work on to obviously get herself up there in a higher position next time. But her first World Cup of the year, and I think she'll be extremely happy.
She's an all-rounder, so she's the basis of the Australian team going forward to 2020 to try and qualify the team, which is 17 years of age. Commonwealth Games as well next year. This is Lu Huan, 16-year-old from China, who finished in 2nd place with this routine.
And it was a very well executed routine, as we expect from the Chinese, but just showing that they can perform beautifully on this apparatus. That pike Jaeger just getting so much height.
So 13.866 the score for Lu Huan, and then we had to wait until the final competitor in the order of this uneven bars final, Liu Qingqing, just 16 years of age, bronze medalist Pacific Rim Championships in 2014 on this apparatus, which is 14.
see those Chinese gymnasts just have that style on this apparatus, and it was a fight between the Chinese with Ching Ching coming out on top.
It's great to watch the coaches ride the wave through the gymnast routine as well, encouraging with all the different body movements. They work as hard as the gymnasts, and the success is everybody's as well.
So there's the confirmation of the standings there. The women's uneven bars, Liu and Liu of China taking gold and silver. So 2 golds to China tonight, with Wang Yan winning the women's vault and Rihanna Mizzen just ahead of Georgia Rose Brown. So bronze medal to Australia to go with the silver and bronze from Naomi Lee and Emily Little in the women's vault. So ceremony's not too far away. Action continues tomorrow night here from Hisense Arena with second night of finals. So the first ceremony will be the men's rings. What are you going with, Sam? Equal first, or have they been able to split the 2 Chinese?
My money's on equal first. Let's go. They deserve it equally. The judges gave them the same score. Let's give them the same colour medal. I'm sure we've got 2 somewhere in the back.
You hope so. Organisers are usually pretty good at that sort of stuff. Wu Junhua, the 22-year-old, and his teammate Zhu Jingwan, 18, who's... That looks like gold, and bronze to me.
It does.
Zhu's already got a silver from the Pommel behind Berkey, so he's had a productive night.
I think he's going to be one of the athletes to watch in the next 4 years. As you said, 18-year-old at the moment, but already with world-class polish to a couple of events, and we'll see him feature in the parallel bars tomorrow night. In the qualifying event, he was absolutely superb on that apparatus, so he'll be one to watch leading into Tokyo. If there was ever any indication that it was going to be 2 gold medals, it's 2 first Vegemite jars.
It's certainly been a successful night for China, with 2 golds in the 2 women's events and sharing gold here in the men's rings. Japan, Kenzo Shirai taking the floor gold medal. Bronze medal here going to Ibrahim Çolak of Turkey. Zhu qualified first for the parallel bars, as you mentioned, so he's got an opportunity to collect a 3rd medal. Kenzo Shirai back tomorrow in the men's vault. Chance to add to his gold medal tally from this championship. Time now for the national anthem of China. men's rings here at the World Cup in Melbourne. Wu Jinghua and Zhu Jingwan of China sharing the gold medal with their score of 14.866. Ibrahim Çolak of Turkey winning the bronze medal. So just the women's uneven bars ceremony remaining.
Gentlemen, we'll be back with you very shortly with presentation.
We see a great thing for the profile of this fantastic sport in Australia with this World Cup here every year for the next 4 years, and great to show some Australian success early on with 3 medals for the girls. So obviously if you or your kids are interested in gymnastics, get them enrolled. You might have time to get them up to speed before 2020 World Cup in Melbourne.
Well, Michael Tone, the young Australian there in 7th spot, knowing that he's coming back here for the next 4 years, will certainly be a boost for him. But Wu and Zhou, well, for them, it's a big battle to fight for a spot in the Chinese senior team ahead of the Tokyo Olympic Games. Çolak of Turkey, the bronze medalist here, Yamamuro, well, he can go to sleep tonight knowing that he's already an Olympic champion. There's the final results in the men's rings. So tomorrow night we've got the men's vault, parallel bars and high bar or horizontal bar. Always one of my favourites, the most spectacular event. Women's beam and floor. Photo time for the Chinese men. So here's confirmation of the program for tomorrow night. The men's vault, Kenzo Shirai, the leading qualifier there. We saw him earlier tonight winning the men's floor. Women's beam final. Liu Qingqing, who won the uneven bars. The favourite there, but the Olympic champion Sane Weavers in action. Men's parallel bars. Zhu Jingwan, the leading qualifier. Men's high bar, well, Yusuke Sato was impressive in qualifying, and the women's floor with Yang Wan, who was in the final of that event and won the vault tonight. She will be the favourite, Emily Little, qualifying in 3rd place. That's tomorrow night's action. Looking forward to all of that.
Welcome the medalists in the women's uneven bars competition.
Final of the women's uneven bars produced, well, an impressive victory for Liu Qingqing ahead of Lu Huan of China and Rihanna Messen. They're on their way out. What a thrill for young Rihanna Messen-Manette, just 17 years of age, Queenslander. I'm sure she's got plenty of supporters here and watching, but are thrilled with this effort.
Absolutely. Definitely an amazing feeling to come out and represent your country, and then to come away with a medal as well just is the cherry on top.
Gentlemen, to make our presentation, we're very pleased to have with us once again Alli Raisman, the gold medalist and the World Cup ambassador. And Alistair Over, the FIT technical delegate, and Carmen Basler, neutral judge from Italy. Please make them welcome. Women's uneven bars, in 3rd place and winner of the bronze medal with a score of 13.433, representing Australia, Rihanna Messen. In 2nd place and winner of the silver medal with a score of 13.866, representing the People's Republic of China, Liu Huan. First place, winner of the gold medal with a score of 14.30, representing the People's Republic of China, Liu Qingqing.
So Alli Raisman back for the ceremony here, the ambassador of this Melbourne World Cup, presenting the gold to Liu Qingqing, who we mentioned will be back tomorrow night. Liu Huan of China and Rihanna Mizzen. Big smile on the face of the 17-year-old from Queensland, winning the bronze medal.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand for the national anthem of the People's Republic of China.
So 3 gold medals to China on this opening night of finals, 3 medals to Australia, the second night of finals tomorrow night. We look forward to your company then on behalf of Sam Offit and Manette Russo and the entire crew. It's David Colbert bidding you farewell from Melbourne.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our medal presentations.